Welcome back to my channel. In this video, we're going to be talking about the common framework that underlies all negotiations. In other words, how negotiations really work. Now, this is video 4 in an 8-video series. If you want to watch all the videos in this series, then head to my channel and just click on the Art of Negotiation link.
The skills that you learn in this course are applicable everywhere in your life. So you're going to be able to be a better negotiator with your family, with the people that you live with, at the workplace, and in terms of like negotiating timelines and teams and shares of responsibility, and then also within your voluntary pursuits. And you know, anytime there are shared responsibilities that need to be divided, there's an opportunity to apply negotiation. What you learn in this course is kind of like the Lamborghini of negotiation, and you don't need to apply that to everything that you do. But by taking this course, what you're going to find is that the root of what you learn will be effective, and it will help you to become a stronger negotiator in many of those circumstances. What I do want to spend some time focused on are the types of negotiations that you won't have a chance to practice all the time. So the big ones, the ones where you're applying for a new job and you're negotiating a new compensation package, and where you are initiating a negotiation in your current role. So maybe you are applying for a raise, or you want to adjust the flexibility in your workplace, but you're initiating a new not necessarily compensation, but a new negotiation to open up the terms of your employment and build new terms into that agreement. Those are things that we don't do very often, right? We don't accept new jobs more than once every couple of years typically. And in terms of major negotiations to our working conditions, again, that doesn't happen very often. So I want to spend quite a bit of time going through what those processes are like so that you have the opportunity to really see it from the inside and understand what step by step that looks like from the inside and from the other side, not from your side, but from the other side. What's happening? What are the conversations that are happening behind the scenes, and who might be involved? So the next few videos will go through that. The first one will talk about who's who when you're negotiating for a new job offer. And then I'll talk about the process of that job offer and what that will look like in a really extensive video. After that, I'll talk about the circumstance where you initiate a job offer and, in an ideal world, how that works. As we go through the next few weeks, we're going to layer onto these examples an understanding of the motivation that we need to carry into those negotiations and how we overcome some of the emotionally restricting psychologies that we're subject to as women. So we face imposter syndrome every day, and next week we're going to spend a lot of time talking about imposter syndrome and ways for us to put that aside and negotiate effectively. But as I go through those videos, before I press play on those videos for you, I wanted to provide a bit of a framework for you to think about negotiation that applies to any kind of a negotiation. So it could be a really accelerated, simple one, or it could be a big, long-standing and very back and forth kind of negotiation that takes some time. They always really proceed in the same way. And they start with you identifying and the other party identifying what you want to get out of the negotiation. So we'll call that preferences. So identifying your preferences while the other party identifies their preferences. The next step is really about assessing the value of the different items on the table. So, for you, the salary might not be the most important thing. The flexibility might be more important. Understanding that and understanding how different elements that might come into play in the negotiation, how do those rank for you in terms of importance and value, is a critical step for you to effectively go into a negotiation and do that with your eyes wide open. Know that the other party is doing that as well. They're assessing what's most important to them. And as I'll go through in some of the upcoming videos, there are things like salary and educational expenses or expense budgets often come from different budgets. And so while you might think of it as a single thing, it might be a dollar value to you, to the employer, they might be able to justify, a higher expense account and higher educational funding if they're able to give you a bit of a lower salary. And in the end, it might actually be worth more to you overall, depending on what the value assessment is on your side. So again, we start by identifying what our preferences are, what our needs are, and then we move into really evaluating the value of different trades, different elements of value within the negotiation. Then there's this opportunity to propose deals. So depending on the circumstances, they might be proposing first. If they're offering you a job, they'll put their deal forward. If you're initiating a negotiation, you would put your deal forward. And in both circumstances, there's strategy that goes into designing those deals. We'll talk about that strategy in week 3. But proposing the deals and then counter offering those deals is really that third step. So you see that in both. And then analyzing it and looking for creative options. So what sets an integrative negotiation apart from a distributive negotiation or a win-lose negotiation is the opportunity to create new trades of mutual benefit to both parties. So there are opportunities to creatively look at options, to understand and ask questions about why the employer is looking for for an earlier start date, and why that's so important to them, and why they might be interested in maybe paying you a bit more if you're able to come over earlier. Understanding the why can help you to really position and massage the deal in a way that meets both parties' needs. And then finally, there's this process of perfecting and finalizing. So there are always a number of things that are kind of on the table. And if you're applying for a job, you probably have a whole pile of things that you want to resolve. And some of them will get resolved and some of them won't. But the final stage here is really coming to an agreement and then finalizing and making sure that agreement is in writing. It's so important. And I talk about this in the future videos, but it's so important to make sure that this agreement is not just a gentleman's agreement of a handshake, but actually documented. And it's entirely fine if it's up to you, and if you document that and you share it with the other party to get agreement too. But actually having it written down is absolutely essential to carrying it out. Too many women rely on their supervisor or the new boss saying, oh yeah, we'll make sure that happens. But if it's never written down, then there's no guarantee, and you really have no recourse. So again, as you're watching the next few videos, just keep that in mind, that even though they're really different in terms of how they proceed, they both operate in the same way. And this happens, if you're negotiating on a committee, if you're negotiating for an extension on a timeline or on role distribution within the workplace. You start with what you need. You consider what's the most important to you. You look at each other's options. You ask lots of questions, analyze, and you look for creative ways of solving one another's problems, and then finalize and carry that forward. So as we go through the course, I will come back to that list over and over again, because every time we learn material, we're going to layer in how do you overcome imposter syndrome. We're going to layer in where the myths and the common misunderstandings about negotiation play into this process, and where they sometimes trip you up. And then of course we're going to layer in where we make lots of mistakes in negotiating. So as you go through, remember, it's 5 steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Identifying your preferences, assessing the options or the elements of value, looking at the proposed deals, swapping proposed deals, and asking lots of questions, analyzing and looking for creative solutions, and then finalizing, perfecting and finalizing.
Thanks for watching. If you want more videos on negotiation like this, then make sure you like this video and subscribe to my channel. Also, while you're here, leave me a comment. Tell me if this was helpful or how you plan on implementing what you learned. And if you want to support my work while you level up your negotiation skills, then head to the link below where you can purchase my negotiation guide. In the meantime, I want to thank you for watching. I will see you here next time.